Hi everyone. Thanks for joining me and Lina for Where I'm From number 34. I'm really looking forward to it. I made a joke in my caption that I have mercilessly harassed Lina to join me, which is just like a little bit of an exaggeration, but not a huge one. I asked a bunch of times because Lina and I are social media friends, and I really wanted her to join me. She's incredibly talented, and I just like her. So I thought it would be fun to talk with her. Here she is.
Hi.
Hello.
Not an exaggeration.
I'm like, I asked a lot of times, but had you ever, as another social media friend has said to me, I just don't have time. So I have stopped harassing her because I don't want to make anyone feel bad. I only want to encourage people. Yeah.
Always very excited from the very beginning when you started doing these. I want to do this. And then I just sometimes I'm not very organized and needed the...
Imagine that with two children. How could you not always be organized?
I know. It's a problem. And then also you gave me a lot of time. You messaged a couple months ago and you're like, for June. And I was like, oh, that sounds very doable.
I'm very excited. Yeah, and that's the other thing is that you come to these often and participate. And so I was like, oh, she really needs to join me with her own poem. So and we're just social media friends. We've never met in real life, but I feel like I know you. And so I wanted to have this opportunity to hear your poem and talk with you and just see you, even though it's not, it's not the same, but it'll do.
I was very nervous and I don't need to be because I was like, this is just going to be a conversation and I can do that. And also be reading and I can also do that. Yes. And I managed to get onto IG Live. So that was another worry. And here we are.
Yes. I'm a lot of people's first IG Live. And they're nervous about it and it's all fine. Can you hear me? Cause you're a little bit,
I can hear you.
Okay, good. No, you're just a little bit, I don't know if it's just me though. IG Live is a mysterious interface. And I never really know if other people are experiencing what I'm experiencing because
I've been watching them. It's always been very cool.
Okay. Okay, good.
The same here.
Because one time somebody who was on here messaged me after and was like, oh, I wish you would have told me that I was like this on your screen. And I was like, oh, I thought you could see, and that was a choice. I don't want to be like, hey,
let's see more of your face.
Tilt. So I can see your whole face. How are you? You want to read it? Anything else you want to say?
No, I don't know. What? Ask a question. No, I don't know.
I will after.
I'm excited to be doing this with you, and yeah.
Okay. Well, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Oh, great. We're gonna just jump right in.
Yeah. Just jump right in.
So is it? Oh, I'm just gonna apologize because my cat might come to say hello.
Okay. Well, that's adorable. What's your cat's name?
His name is Flacco. He was a skinny, and
I hear.
Yes, he's very loud. He might even like it.
Hola, Flacco. What's up?
I will. I am from or where I'm from. That was one thing I wasn't sure.
Some say I am from. Her poem is where I'm from. I think it's just personal choice. I'm very loosey-goosey. Ronit, who's going to be here next week with me, emailed me, as do many people, saying, are you really strict with these rules? Or I'm like, no, not strict. Don't care. Whatever. Show up.
Okay, I'm ready to begin.
Okay.
I am from homemade things. Pizza and dresses and Play-Doh in every color. I am from the house before the bend, small, red brick, blooming lilacs in spring. I am from a towering maple, swung in its arms, covered in leaf piles, burnt orange and brilliant. I am from snow forts and blanket forts, summer road trips across the border, sand in our bathing suits. I am from an immigrant father who left home at 20, never seeing his parents. From an immigrant mother, born the only daughter, born to take care of her parents. I'm from big feelings and high expectations, no apologies and silences, from being a disappointment to being a source of pride. I am from a God passed down to me, but not passed on to my daughters. I am from moussaka, scorvelia, and a Jell-O ice cream dessert that no one remembers the name of. I'm from my grandmother's treasure chest, full of hoarded cash saved over years, found after her death. I'm from cousins died too tragic, too young. I'm from volumes of photo albums lined up in my parents' basement, dusty and full, every picture dated and labeled, a family of shared lives until the memories will be mine alone.
Hooray! I think you're the first person who has organized photos.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. I was thinking that when I read it. This is the first, especially dated and organized. You know, many people have stacks and, you know, different things, but
At all, as you can tell, as we discussed previously about my lack of organization. It's my dad's organization where he's always just been meticulous with details, and so
I really love that. I didn't care so much when I was younger, but I really love those pieces of, I think I've gotten more invested or more interested in ancestors and the generations. And I think as people talk more about epigenetics and like that we feel these things and we hand these things down, I've gotten more interested in what my birthright is, I guess.
No, me too.
You know.
And I'm sad that we have those photos at least, but then in contrast, like I have none. Like I have 20,000 photos on my phone or something. Nothing printed, nothing organized, no photos of like us in our like,
yeah.
And so that is something I need to.
We did what we did was we made those like photo books, those like Apple.
Oh yeah.
Because then you don't have to like print out photos, it kind of takes the like middleman out, which was because that was enough for me doing that.
I can't, that just feels overwhelming.
You have to wait till your kids are old enough that they want to get involved and like choose photos and want to do it.
The ones that my dad has, so it's in a binder, like homemade, like the first line of the poem. Mm-hmm. Like it was binder, double-sided tape. He would put on every photo, like put in on sheets in the photo. Those are our memories.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's really neat.
It's very rare. And are both your parents from Greece?
Yeah, they're both from Greece. Yeah.
But they met here or there?
They met here.
Okay.
So my dad came when he was 20, and my mom came when she was 4, so she was younger and sort of grew up here. But they met here.
I love hearing about how all the different ways that I have not had anyone on here who's Indigenous. So I have heard stories of all the different ways that we've made it to this continent. And I used to just feel like with my privilege, like, oh, this is my home. This is where I'm from, you know, and as time has gone on, I've thought more about how this isn't where I'm from, not originally.
Right.
I used to just feel like, oh, it's wonderful that we all came here together, and now I'm more conflicted about it. But I still am fascinated by the journeys we've all taken.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting how, you know, my thoughts about these things were different when I was younger, and just as we get older and more exposed to things, or there's change in the culture, like we just open up to new ideas and
yeah. And how did you so I related obviously to sand and bathing suits because that was a big part of my life. And growing up in Southern California. And I also, I felt like I knew your home. I love that description of your home. And it made me think of, that's not something I did with my poem, but it made me think of, how did I describe my house? Because to me, it felt like it was how you described your house to others, or how your house was like when you're giving directions. I don't know if that's accurate, but that's how it felt, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I thought, how did we describe our house when we were giving directions? And how it does really ground you in a place so quickly, because we were 2 doors down from the yacht club, which gives you a real like idea of what kind of place I grew up in. And it was like, oh, that was really, because the prompt is, so what was your experience like with using the prompt and writing the poem?
Yeah, it was, I found it hard at first. I was conflicted. It was helpful to have the container, like the template. Just because, you know, out of a lifetime of moments, like which ones do you choose to do a poem like this?
Yep.
Then I found that I felt very, like I just felt very stuck with it then. you know, in the description of the in the family home, like of the home, I felt, well, I don't want to put an adjective here, and that's what the prompt was telling me to do, or you know, whatever it was. So then I felt conflicted in that way, but like I was like, I'm stuck. I don't know. I can't do this. But then I just was like, well, like we said before, you're not strict with it. I'm not being marked. Not being graded on
you're not getting a grade.
So, yeah. So once I realized, I'm like, oh, it's okay if I sort of go with the flow. Then it was,
for sure.
It was also interesting because, you know, thinking about, say, okay, the family home, I'm in a bit of a unique experience, but maybe it's not as unique as I think it is. But where I'm like living in my childhood home now, like I'm raising my kids in the house that I grew up in. So, you know, thinking, I
think you're the second person who's living currently in their childhood home. So it's not so common, but it's not like completely. I feel like that's something that used to happen more when people didn't move so much. I think now there's almost an expectation that you'll like launch out on your own and try something different, you know?
And I did. I mean, I haven't been here the whole time. I left and did other things, and then I came back about 8 years ago to the home and then had my kids. So it was just interesting thinking about like my memories here and then what my like kids' memories might be in the same place. How would they just location of the house? You know, it was a neat experience.
Yeah. And did you find it challenging because you were trying to pick what to say, or did you find it challenging because you were trying to do it right? Or
yeah, I think I just tend to like want to do things right and be like a rule follower. So I was feeling like I couldn't. So once I sort of picked a memory or something I want to talk about, then to try and fit that in, I was like, it doesn't fit in the way I wanted to fit in.
And then you just let it go.
And then I let it go. And then that was helpful. Yeah.
That is helpful. Well, I'm glad you let it go and you didn't try to, because really, for me, prompts or containers, they're just about like getting it started. Because like you say, how do you choose memories? Like even like in the process of writing essays or memoir, how do you choose what you choose? How do you do that? How do you do that, Lina?
That's a good question. I thought it was like a rhetorical question. I'm like, yeah.
It was, but then I thought, well, this is a good question. So give me your answer.
Creative nonfiction, like that's the only thing that I write. So, I mean, I think it depends on what the driving force of the piece is. And then what details do I want to bring forward to, you know, try and craft that story.
Do you have things that you want to write about? Or do you have things that need to be written about? Like for me, I sort of love prompts because I have so many things I feel like I could share. I just like, I can get paralyzed by choice. Like how you do when you're like trying to pick a hotel in the city, you know, the same kind of like feeling of paralysis of like, well, and I have my own, I reckon with my own feelings of being an imposter. So then it's like, well, who even cares about any of these stories? You know, so it gets me out of that space.
Yeah. No, I feel the same. And that was part of my experience writing the poem too, was just sort of like that overwhelmed deer in headlights of like, I don't know which to choose. I don't know what detail to focus on. I am just going to not do this for now.
And like, who really cares? These are just the details of my childhood. Like, what difference does it make? You know, they're not that interesting. And I think obviously that's a fallacy, but it's one we seem to many of us carry with us.
I don't usually use prompts is a funny thing. I don't to gravitate to them or like them very much, but
I get it. I didn't for a while, but I think once I adopted more the attitude of like, it's a just starting point, you know, it's just like to get you thinking and it's not like a directive.
Yeah. No. And I see the value. I've taken writing courses, and often as part of the writing course, you're, you know, moving through quickly to write some drafts things. So often there's prompts there, and that does help streamline like, oh, okay, I'm going to, you know, I will think about this and not write about this. Because then otherwise, there's value to it.
Well, any other thoughts about the process or the poem or life or your day or whatever? How's the weather? Is it warm there finally?
Yep.
Okay.
My daughter is having a little graduation
Is she climbing some fences or getting up somewhere high and terrifying you?
Yes. It's my constant, the underlying theme of parenthood for me.
My youngest used to, when he was very small, climb ridiculously high things. And then it turned out that he had some vision challenges. So I realized that he had no concept of how
like,
high he was.
like depth perception and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Because then he got an eye surgery and I could see on his face, like, oh, wow,
Doing up here.
this
like
is
that
scary, this thing I've been doing. And I was like, oh, so glad he never fell. You know, it was just one of those things where I was like, oh, he just loves climbing. He's just like, does this. It's so cool. Look at how fearless he is. Oh, no, he actually doesn't know. Oh, cool.
And that's my constant not, you know, to raise kids that are confident and can trust themselves. And so I'm, you know, one of the many challenges of parenthood, I think, is, you know, tapping in and noticing when I'm feeling fearful or anxious and then not passing that on to them.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many challenges and joys in parenting. Yeah. Exhaustion, I think, is a constant companion, particularly when they're young. And most of us aren't our best selves when we're exhausted. So how do you navigate that? And then, yes, all of your own, like, shit.
Yeah.
I've definitely dealt with some because I saw, like, oh, I am passing this on to them. This isn't fair. But I'm sure I'm doing that unconsciously as well, even though I'm trying not to.
I know. We just do the best we can.
Yes, we do. And we say, like, you know, when you want to go to therapy, let me know. We can talk about it.
Yeah. That's sort of my gauge of how good I'm going to be as a parent, is like how much.
I always say to a friend of mine, like, I'm willing to apologize and I'm willing to say I didn't do it right.
Mm-hmm.
I think that helps.
That's huge. I think that's huge. And I think that a lot of us didn't.
No, that was not in the culture.
That was just not how. So I think it is huge. Yeah.
So I hope that helps. Basically, I just want to help. I say that to them a lot. Like, I'm here to help.
Yeah. I'm doing the best. Trying to help. Like.
Yeah. And that's life, right?
Yeah.
I think we probably all just need to give ourselves a break a little bit more.
I agree.
I'm trying. I'm really trying.
Yeah.
Hello, Tanya and Carrie. Thanks for joining us. Tanya has shared her poem here. Carrie is a person I harassed a bit, and then when she was like, "No, I really don't want to read one," and I stopped bothering her.
Well, thanks for coming.
Yes. And thank you for coming, Lina. Any other thoughts before we close?
I don't think so. I mean, I yes, many, but.
Well, any you want to share? I'm sure you have many thoughts in your brain. Any thoughts you want to share before we go?
Oh, this has been great. Thank you so much for the pleasant hounding.
I'm happy to see you and hear your poem and connect. And I was just talking with someone about social media. Obviously it has a lot of downsides, but the friendships and the community that has been created and built it's really helped me some more than I can say.
Well, I just love that how this has taken off. Like it's just like the involvement. Like there's so many. Oh yeah, I think it's so great, and it's such a nice way to sort of get to know the social media friends on a different level, right? To actually talk and actually see each other, and it's a great.
And I mean, my writer friends and reader friends and just friends and like, I really like. I'm in the process of writing a book. There is no way I would have done that without this community. Like, I would not have been able to take myself seriously enough. Yeah.
I know. You like just that support.
Yeah.
I don't think that I realized, to be honest, how much of writing what is community until Instagram. Sounds sort of silly, but like just until creating that community.
Well, you feel like it's a solitary exercise, right?
Yeah.
You know, or I did. Like, oh, I have to sit down and write, and it's lonely, and it's like, yeah, whenever I step out of feeling isolated and alone, it pays dividends. It might not in my work necessarily, but it certainly does in my emotions and my life. Like, we're not alone with whatever it is we're feeling. So I'm grateful. So thank you for being a part of my community, Lina, and thank you for joining me today.
Okay. Have a great day, Allison.
Okay.